Well, welcome back, everybody. And we're going to be going into parenting. I'm Aaron Botello.
Ryan Fitzgerald.
All right, and today we're going to be drilling down a little deeper in how to create systems in your home. The subject matter we talked about last time, right? We're going to get maybe into some of the details here today.
Yeah, we're going to talk about basically how to implement the things that we've talked about, right?
Right.
And really an approach to kind of get through this so that you can create the system in your home and that things run smoothly, hopefully.
All right.
Or more smoothly.
And so one of the things we're working toward is moving away from this adversarial relationship and more into a cooperative sort of relationship, correct?
Yes, yeah, I think a lot of homes and families look at these as people pitted against each other, right? I'm trying to get my child to do something. I'm trying to get my parent off my back, right? And so we want to move away from that as much as possible into a more cooperative approach, right? And that's part of what we're doing here.
Yeah, and part of it is to identify the problem and then externalize it.
Yes, yeah, and so that's the the adversarial approach is my kid doesn't clean their room, right? Or my kid never does what I ask or something like that. Or my parents always on my back. I can never do something right? You get some of this language, right? And so we want to look at the problems, and we want to look at those problems as separate from the individuals involved in it, right? So a problem could be you look at it this way: the kid's not cleaning their room, right? Well, I would say there's a problem around chores in the home.
Yeah.
Right, and we could present it that way. So some of the chores in the home aren't getting completed as efficiently as they could, or something that's causing problems between us. So I just want to make sure that we can like fix that.
And it's a small, almost verbal fix, but it does have a pretty big impact, right?
Yeah, well, it's a conceptual difference, though, right? In that we're working together to solve a problem rather than
I'm trying to get you to do something.
do something I want,
Yeah.
right? Which is by nature adversarial, right?
Yeah.
Because it's and so and you get more buy-in this way, I think, especially from children, and they feel less attacked, right? And if you feel less attacked, you're more likely to be more cooperative.
Sure. And so that's going to start with creating possible solutions and...
Yes, yeah. And so, I've identified, okay, there's a problem with chores. I know it's about cleaning the room or taking out the trash, right? And then, this is largely the parent's job, especially depending on the age of the child. If the child's younger, you're going to have to, do more of this effort yourself. But it's basically looking at who's going to do things, how are things going to get done, when are they going to get done, and making that very clear, right? So, we'll go back to the room cleaning thing, right? So rooms aren't getting cleaned, right? So, you're responsible for your room. I'm responsible for my room, right? But on Wednesdays at 4 p.m., you're going to vacuum the floor. You're going to straighten out the, the desk, whatever those kind of tasks are.
Do some dusting, perhaps.
Yeah, whatever those tasks are going to be very clear, right? And so there's a schedule. There's a responsibility, there's a role, right? And
you want to be as clear as possible.
As clear as possible, yeah.
All right, and then the other side of this is coming up with the reward consequence scheme as well. Also want to be very clear on this, right?
Yeah, and you definitely want to create it together. You want that buy-in, right, from your child, right? That they are part of this process that we're engaging in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something you're working on together. And
and they should come up with the rewards, right? And then you're going to maybe have to tone them down a little bit if they're too extravagant.
The
right?
trip to Disney World might not be.
I cleaned my room. We go to Disney World this weekend.
Yeah.
No, that's right. So and we want them to feel rewarded, but they have to be reasonable for obvious reasons.
Yeah, and we talked about this last time, but one of the really important things is that rewards be, as you call them, chunked out, right?
The immediate ones are obvious, right? So it's sort of, okay, if you get these tasks done. So, I'll use an example. One of the things I do with my children is they have set tasks they have to accomplish in the morning, right? And if they get those tasks done, then they get to watch TV until the time we leave to bring them to school, right? And so it's really dependent on their behavior. If they don't do them in time, then they don't get the reward, right? So it sort of motivates them to do the things they have to do in the morning, right? So that's an obvious one, right? They're going to get the reward, right, based on their behaviors. Longer term ones are a little more difficult, right? Because we don't want them so far out that it's not really attached to the behavior anymore. And so that's difficult sometimes, especially for like larger rewards. And so, you can use some tricks with that is like, so one thing is like a family I worked with, a kid wanted to go to a trampoline park, but it's expensive. It's going to be a couple weeks before I can come up with the money or, things like that, or even have the time for it. And so what we did there was that we created like a bar graph, just a rectangle, right? And then as they accomplished tasks, we started coloring in as they worked harder. So it's a visual thing that I'm making progress, right? which in itself can kind of
Right.
encourage the kid. And then, and then they can't lose anything. Oh, you messed up today, you didn't get the burger, but there's still tomorrow, and you can work toward that longer term goal that
So
way.
it almost seems like there's three different levels of reward. There's the praise, which is
Yep.
continuous and
Yeah, that should be
pretty
be liberal.
sprinkled
Be
sprinkled
liberal
in
with the love.
liberally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's like the short-term rewards, which are important because we want these to be kind of pretty close to immediate. And then also maybe these longer-term rewards for producing outcomes that are
Yeah, I mean,
desirable.
longer term, but like I said, you got to be careful with those because
Right.
they have to know that it's doable, and there has to be progress shown because
Sure.
it's too far out for kids, right?
Sure.
A month, it may as well be a lifetime for children sometimes, depending on their age.
And then we're gonna do the same thing with consequences, right?
Yep.
So-
We've talked about this before, right? Consequences ideally only last as long as the unwanted behavior, but it should be clear what those consequences are so they know what they're getting into, right? And this should be decided on. And as I said before, children are really good at telling you, right, what to do. They are. I laugh sometimes because the parents are sort of, well,
Why
I
would
don't
you
know.
tell me how I can defeat you?
Yeah, they will. They'll say, yeah, well, that'll get me to do what you want, right? And then so you listen to them, right? And then you sort of take it into account, and we figure out a system, right? So now we have our solutions, we know our schedules, our roles, our routines, we have our scheme, right, of rewards and consequences, and then I like to do one other part of this too, which is to put this more on the child than on you, right?
Yeah.
So if you have to continuously remind them, and it's more work for you, right?
Right.
And so you can do that through checklists, right? Sometimes, a simple thing is writing it on a piece of paper and then putting it in one of those sleeves, those notebook sleeves that are transparent. Use a dry erase marker, and they can check off a box. I did this, did this, this. So you just go, look, you did it. Verify. Okay,
Right.
go watch TV.
And so
okay.
these visual aids are really important.
Yeah, really good for kids, right? Because they'll forget, right?
Yeah.
So kids get a lot of things going on in their
Sure.
brains. Yeah,
I forget.
yeah, exactly, right. And so having this for them, where sometimes
Right. And then they can mark progress as well. Like, wow,
that way as well.
we're getting really close to that trampoline park.
Yeah. Oh, look at that! You're doing wonderful. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Right.
I've had parents put it like in the bathroom, on the side of the mirror, because the kid would forget to wash their hands after they use the urinal or
Yeah.
the toilet, or they wouldn't brush their teeth or comb their hair, right? And you have that there, and they check it off, and you identify. Perfect. Good
And
job.
I think that also helps with the depersonalization thing. It's like, this is what this is what you violated here.
We agreed to this.
Yeah.
You agreed to this, more importantly, right?
Right.
I'm not being mean. This isn't about me trying to get you to do something, right? This is about us working better as a family, right?
Right.
So you did it, right?
You see it here.
Yeah.
And I've found this with students over the years. A lot of times, if I present it like, I'm just the scorekeeper here. I'm just keeping track of your grades. You just haven't earned enough to pass at this point.
Yeah,
So
it's not about you and
yeah, it's not
yeah.
about me. I'm not giving away grades. Sometimes students think that. and-
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is another reason parents, you should be teaching that, so that when children come to college, they understand that the
role they
rewards,
play.
rewards, consequences, agency. That would always be good.
Yeah. You're funny.
Yeah.
So it puts that on them, right? So they have to right, check themselves. They have to engage in their behaviors, right? And then they feel sort of that they have a part to play here.
Gives them agency.
Yeah, which is a wonderful thing.
A great skill to develop.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And so, once this whole scheme is laid out, you get the desired outcomes, the reward, consequence. Next thing for parents to do is to implement it.
Yeah, it's actually the easy part too,
Yeah.
right? So you've front loaded some of the stuff. Now you just apply the rewards and consequences based on your child's behavior, right?
Right.
Are they meeting expectations or not? And you just implement it, right? And that's really your role. I wouldn't sort of get into the kind of put downs or
Yep.
that kind of stuff at this.
Yep.
Oh, you never just it's the consequence, right?
Yep.
And then right, hope they work, right? And if they're working, great. If they're not, right, you got to revisit the system,
Right.
right?
We've
and
got
see
to
what's going on.
tweak it and see what's not working. And again, it's very important that parents be consistent with this, right?
Yes.
That's the whole point of this.
Yeah. If you're not applying rewards and consequences, you're not going to change behavior.
Yeah.
Right? I can't say this because then and a lot of kids, they'll say this, right? And I'll be working with a parent, child, and they're not going to do this.
Yeah.
right? They don't believe you, right? Because
Yeah.
it's not it hasn't been working, right? That's
Right.
why parents usually come to me is that there's problems in the home, it's not working, and say, well, yeah, they're just going to yell, or it's not going to be good enough, or they're not going to follow through, right? So it's very important.
Prove them wrong.
Prove them wrong. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You practice what if they feel that way, right? You practice what you preach. You apply the rewards and consequences, right? Praise them, praise them, praise them, right? For making progress.
Because the kid is actually looking to understand how the world works. And if you're almost introducing noise into the system, if you're like, wow, you know what? He said he was gonna follow through on this, but he's not following through.
Yeah.
So you got to be consistent with this, right?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really important.
Well, and then yeah, you're not playing your role, right? We set up this agreement, and you're not living up to your end of the agreement. So why should they live up to their end of the agreement, right? And that's
really
important.
important.
Yeah. And that's why it's cooperative, right? Is we're both playing our part to make our family, right, run better and be happier than it was before. Yeah.
And the end goal is to. It may sound like a lot of front-loaded work as you've been describing it, but the end goal is to.
It's not that much, though.
It's not.
You can accomplish a lot of this in an hour or two. Yeah.
The end goal, though, is to get it so that this is automatic.
Yeah, habits, right? We want these new interaction patterns, new habits to form, and then they're just doing their thing, right? And then you can even, you can still continue the praise stuff, but then we can add on additional behaviors, right?
We need to,
if there's more complex behaviors you want, or if there's like longer term goals, because you go back to, I think we talked about the child who, say there's a child who's swearing all the time, right? Using foul language, and we want to remove that, right? But going from 100 times a day to 0 times a day, not reasonable. But well, hey, we cut it in half, right? We're going to celebrate that, and now we're going to move the rewards out, right, to 25%, or 75%, reduction, or what that is, right? So you tweak the system as you go.
A lot less F-bombs in the house recently.
Yeah, this is wonderful, right? Hey, good job. And honestly, go celebrate that.
Yeah.
That's a victory for the family, right? For the family, because we're doing things we agreed to, and it's getting better, right? Yeah.
So let's just summarize what we're doing here. So first is we ID a problem.
Yep. What are the problems that you want to be addressed, right? And make sure it's not the kid.
Depersonalize.
Yeah. It's hygiene. It's homework. It's chores, right? It's a thing that the household is experiencing, not just the child being bad.
And then we want some possible solutions to this problem.
Yep.
You work
Who,
on together.
How, when.
Yep.
Things are going to get done differently.
Yes.
Right?
And then there's the reward consequence scheme, 3 to 1.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You heavy on the rewards, right? Right. And once again, I'm not saying buy them stuff. I'm not right. Heavy on when I say rewards, it's saying thank you. It's giving praise. It's those sorts of things.
Activities together.
Yeah. Very important, right?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, if you get your homework done, you get ready for bed, then we're going to have, right? And you can do that in this amount of time. Then we're going to have 30 minutes where we can play a game together.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's a very natural reward for
Get the croquet set out.
whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
And now you're having, so instead of fighting for an hour, right, for them to get the things done they have to get done, they're getting them done in 30 minutes on their own, and then you're going to have quality positive time together, which is beautiful.
Really
right?
important.
I mean, it's just nice, right? Yeah. Nobody wants that other thing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So the reward consequence scheme, and we just piggyback on that you said, the more immediate the reward, the consequences when something goes wrong, the better.
Yeah.
We don't want the long-term stuff. You can, but the more immediate is better.
Yes. Yeah. All times. Right. Really kind of
Behavioral
quick
theory,
things.
101 right there.
Yeah.
Visual checkers are important.
Yep. Put it on the child to be responsible for these things, right?
Yeah.
But support them in doing that. Don't just expect that they'll remember, right?
And this helps with the externalization.
Yep.
And then finally, it's just about maintaining the system, being consistent, tweaking it if it needs to be tweaked.
Yep. All through conversations and communication with each other. What's working,
Yeah.
what's not, right? How can we work together to make this better, right? That kind of stuff.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it can be nice. I'll be frank, and it can actually work too, which is nice.
Yeah, and you've seen this work.
Oh yeah,
in your practice.
Dozens and dozens of times. I implemented things like this in my classroom when I was a teacher, working with some tough kids at times too. And I use this sort of approach with my own children. I teach parents this regularly, right? And I'm getting lots of good feedback, which is why I'm here trying to help.
You'd say it's better than continuous yelling and fighting in the home.
I'm going to go ahead and say I think it can be better than that.
Well, that sounds great. So, what do people have to look forward to in our next episode?
Yes, so we decided to talk about the internet, right, and really try to maybe provide some education around what is happening on the internet and the things that children are telling me, right, that's
Yeah.
going on, and parents are talking to me about it. Some of the strategies children are using to get around
Somehow they
parents.
tell you these things.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, that's right. It's funny. Yeah, and if you make parents aware of that, some resources out there, and really about internet safety and I say this is when you give your child access to the internet, you're giving them access to the world, which can be a wonderful thing, but you're also giving the world access to your child, which could be a wonderful thing or a terrible thing,
Or
depending on
yes,
what the world's providing to your child. So
some parents
important.
definitely want to have control over.
Yeah,
and monitor,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, for sure. It's gotten wild. The internet's sort of the Wild West in a way. And we want to
Absolutely.
make sure that parents are aware, who may not be aware.
Changing very rapidly all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, very much so.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing that conversation.
Yeah, once again, hopefully it's helpful to some people out there.
All right.
So,
Well, thank you very much, and we'll see you for that conversation.
All right, take care.